Welcome back. Here we are, part 2, Ventures 3, Unit 9. We're going to be on page 111 in the book and try to do page 12 in the workbook. We're going to try to be doing page 102 and 103. So here we are, the student book, page 111. Let's do this part here. May was late to dinner because she was looking at a website about saving the planet. She wants to take more responsibility. What is it? Responsibility for saving the earth from global warming. May tells her parents about the guest speaker who came to her biology class. The speaker suggested simple things that people could do to reduce their energy use and protect the environment. It could be planet, but in this case, it's environment. Next, for example, they could carpool instead of driving alone, recycle their bottles and cans, and use energy-efficient light bulbs. Again, notice energy efficient. Words go together, but there's a dash between them. May's parents agree that it is important to cut down on energy use since it would also help them to save money. So the father was especially interested in that, wasn't he? Next, however, they can't afford to buy new appliances now. I thought I had that off, but I didn't. And it turns out it's a spam caller. Hateful things, aren't they? Okay, so jump into our workbook and turn to page 102. We don't have the QR thing going. You can do that at home by yourself or wherever you happen to be. And the way that I like to have you use it is not to be reading, but to just listen and see how much of it that you understand. Okay, read and write the tips, then listen. So here are the tips. First, buy energy efficient light bulbs. So what are these called? LEDs, right? The next, carpool to work. Cut down on water use. So during this pandemic, what's one way that we can be very mindful about cutting down on water use? What are they asking us to do often? Hopefully you were using a whole sentence and said, they are asking us to wash our hands often. And how long are they asking us to wash the hands? At least 20 seconds. That's right. So during that time, what's one way that you can cut down on water use? That's right. Start to wash your hands, shut the water off. Lather your hands while the water is off. So here's another vocabulary word. Lather, Lather. What is lather? It's the foamy stuff that you make when you put soap and water together and your hands get all white foam all over them. That's called what? Lather. So it's a noun and it is also a verb. So while we're using the soap and putting it all carefully over our hands, we are lathering our hands. Perfect. So that's cutting down on water use. Next, learn about the environment. So taking time to go online and look up topics and find ways that we can help. Recycle your soda cans. I kind of chuckled at that because I think fewer and fewer people are drinking soda these days, but there is something else that we can drink in soda cans. Uh, Yes, and that's water. Because now, like companies like Coca-Cola, they're marketing water instead of soda. What other kinds of containers could be in that category? How many people thought of plastic bottles? Plastic is just such a huge problem for the planet right now. And so I'm hoping that that is what you said. Next, replace old appliances. Next, take responsibility for your garbage. Okay, let's read the rest of the page. 7 tips to save the planet. Number 1, learn about the environment. When you know about your effects on the earth, you are more careful about the things that you do every day. Let's read the printed part of number 2. Don't drive alone. You'll save money on gas and get to know your coworkers better. And when you aren't driving, you can even sleep a little if you're tired. So, which tip would we put there? Carpool to work. Let's read 3. Take a short shower. Don't run the water while you are brushing your teeth. Kind of like washing your hands, right? Shutting off the water while you're brushing and then turning it back on to rinse. Okay, so number 3 would be cut down on water use. Number 4, they are just as bright and you will save electricity. You can find them at supermarkets and hardware stores for just a few dollars. Buy energy efficient light bulbs. Well, that's true now, but when they first came out, they were not as bright and they were also much more expensive. And I think that they are more expensive even now than they were before. But what is the great thing about these energy efficient light bulbs? Even if you're paying more money. That's right. They really last a long time. Number 5, new refrigerators and stoves are much more efficient. They are expensive to buy, but over time you'll save a lot of money. So it would be replace old appliances. Next, they're made of aluminum. Making cans from aluminum uses 95% less energy than making cans from new aluminum. Wow, that's really amazing. 95% less energy. So recycling aluminum cans is a very important way to save energy. So that particular tip would be recycle your soda cans. Number 7, throw things away in the correct place. Some kinds of garbage, like plastic bags, are very dangerous for animals. So the tip is take responsibility for your garbage. I know a lot of the people in this class are from South Korea, and I know that South Korea has a very high rate of recycling in their country, and I know that that's been going on for a long time. And that here in the United States, we really lag behind in that particular area, although I think we're trying to do better. Okay, so let's now go to 103. It says, cross out the words that are different. Let's read across and then read the crossed out word. Number 1, appliance, light bulb, air conditioner, dishwasher. What does not belong? That's right, light bulb. Number 2, recycle, use again, reuse, throw away. Number 3, reduce, buy more, use less, cut down on, buy more. Number 4, carpool, walk, take the bus, drive alone. Drive alone. Okay, complete the sentences. So part of this is knowing the answers, and I'm pretty sure you know the answers, but a lot of this is saying the words out loud, getting the pronunciation correctly, and to look at the spelling and to look at the grammar. Appliances, carpools, cut down on, energy efficient, environment, global warming, recycle, responsibility. Okay, here we go. Number 1, the environment is the air, water, and land around us. 2, Paulo used to drive to work alone every day. Now he, great, carpools with 2 of his co-workers. Notice co-worker. That has a little hyphen in between the prefix and the word worker. Co-workers. Co-hyphen workers. Number 3, because of global warming, scientists believe that weather has been changing around the world. Notice no hyphen, these are 2 separate words. 4, we just got a new energy efficient air conditioner. It works very well and it doesn't use much electricity. 5, when you recycle old bottles, they are made into new glass and used again. Actually, I wanted to show you a very special little piece of glass, which I'll do in the next segment, that was recycled. Number 6, the appliances in my apartment are very old. My landlord doesn't want to buy a new stove or refrigerator. 7, even though Susan's house has air conditioning, she uses a fan to cut down on her electric bill. Cut down on, no hyphens in between these. It's just cut down on, kind of like go to. Number 8, we all have a responsibility to stop pollution and save the earth for our children and our grandchildren. Okay, so that takes care of that part of the workbook. And I would like us to please open our student books again. We're going to page 112. These are conditionals. Grammar focus, present unreal. Use the present unreal conditional to talk about what would happen in an imaginary, not a real situation. So use if with the verb in the past tense in the clause that describes the imaginary situation. Use would with the base form of the verb in the results clause. So remember, a clause has a subject and a verb. There's a dependent and an independent clause. Dependent cannot stay alone, must be used with an independent clause. Let's read. If everybody drove smaller cars, we would use less gasoline. So which clause is the dependent clause? If. If everybody drove smaller cars, we would use less gasoline. So has a subject and a verb. The other clause has a subject and a verb also. This if shows it's imaginary. Hasn't happened, it's a projection. What is it? If everybody drove smaller cars, we would use less gasoline. So you need the would in the second part, the second clause, but not in the if clause. Underneath that, it's the reverse. We would use less gasoline if everybody drove smaller cars. So notice there is also no comma between these two clauses, but if the if clause comes first, you do put in a comma between the if clause and the would clause. The other side, if she used energy efficient light bulbs, she would save electricity. There's a comma because the if clause comes first. Next, she would save electricity if she used energy efficient light bulbs. So there is no comma between the clauses because the if clause is at the end and the would clause is at the beginning. So let's read these examples once again and do the next page in the next section. Everyone, if everybody drove smaller cars, we would use less gasoline. Notice, if everybody drove, drive, drove, driven. This is also using the past tense in the if clause. Next, we would use less gasoline if everybody drove smaller cars. What is it? We would use less gasoline if everybody drove smaller cars. The other side? If she used energy efficient light bulbs, she would save electricity. Comma between the clauses and past tense if she used. Next, she would save electricity if she used energy efficient light bulbs. In the if clause, used is the past tense, but there is no comma because the if clause comes after. So in the next segment, we're going to be on page 112 doing the practice number 2. If you want to start and do that between, that's great. If not, we can just do it together in the next segment.